BookTube, Merry Christmas. I thought I'd bring you a Friday Reads Christmas edition, since I'm off work, obviously. And it's beautiful outside today, except for the fact that it's, the real temperature is like 14 and it feels like 1 degree. It's a beautiful sunny green Christmas. My kind of Christmas. Don't have to deal with snow and any of that ice and hazardous road conditions. But anyway, I hope you guys are having some nice weather out by you, maybe a little warmer. But anyway, Skippy and I went out for a little walk, as you'll see in the clip I'll attach here. And I put a different coat on her. This one fits her a little bit better. It's a little warmer. But we weren't out there very long, just long enough for her to kind of get a little activity, do her business, and race back inside and warm up. So anyway, on to the Friday Reads part of this. I just want to catch you up on what I'm reading and what I finished. I did finish my audiobook of The Collapsing Empire by John Scalzi. This is the first book in his interdependency series. I mentioned I was having a little trouble with it. I wasn't too sure whether I would continue with it. It's a sci-fi story set in this interdependent empire of planets, several planets where humans have moved away from Earth. And they're kind of connected by this thing called the flow, which is just some naturally occurring phenomenon that allows ships to kind of enter this flow and travel at faster than light kind of speeds to the planet. So it kind of links these distant planets together and forms this interdependency run by an emperor. And it's a lot of political intrigue and backstabbing and things going on, and the flow is apparently collapsing, and people are maneuvering to kind of be in power when like these planets become separated and stuff. But it can be very detrimental to the human race because a lot of these planets really depend on each other to survive. A lot of them don't have their own food source, and those food sources are kind of brought to other planets because through planetary travel and stuff. Well, like I said, it was very confusing. A lot of characters, and it was a bit tough to kind of juggle what was going on, and I wasn't sure if I wanted to continue. It's narrated by Will Wheaton, who does a phenomenal job on all the narrations that he's done with his books. That made it worth listening to and continuing the story. As the story kind of finished up for this first volume, it left me intrigued enough that I surprisingly do want to continue with it. So I'm going to give myself a little bit of a break. I'm going to listen to something else right now, but I am going to move on with the rest of the series. So who knew that was going to happen? Let's see, what else am I reading? I am continuing to read Shirley. I haven't put much work into this one. This is by Susan Scarf Merrill. I kind of set it aside for some other things I've been reading that kind of came up. So I haven't really progressed any further than the initial 51 pages of this. This is based on a real-life character, Shirley Jackson, and a couple that goes to stay at her home, along with Shirley's husband. He's a professor, and the couple that goes to stay there, the husband is like a student, and he's going to be working for Shirley's husband. And there's this underlying weird mystery of like missing students, or a missing student. So there's a bit of a thriller kind of mystery in the background of it. So I'm curious to see how that's going to play into it. But like I said, I haven't really made much progress with this one at the moment. Moving on. I'm also continuing to read on my e-reader Bounty Hunter. This is Rake and Scrape by Rachel Alkus. This is the 4th book in her Bounty Hunter series of a proposed 6-book series. Really great kind of post-apocalyptic western kind of story with really fantastic characters, lots of action. You really become attached to the characters, and it just sucks you in. The writing just sucks you in. This is just like guilty pleasure kind of reading. And I'm about, I'd say, maybe halfway through this one right now, and I'm really, really enjoying it. What else? I am also currently listening to my audio break. This is going to be a bit of a long one because I'm listening to The Woman in White by Wilkie Collins. I have a physical copy of it, but I decided to download an audiobook of it because I felt in the mood for a classic, and this is quite a chunker. And I just didn't have the willpower to sit through and read it. But I'm going to just go ahead and read the back for you really quick. And I'm just trying to keep my Goodreads page open here so I don't lose where I'm at. But anyway, it says it's the first and greatest of the best-selling Victorian thrillers known as sensation novels. The Woman in White opens with a chilling encounter between drawing teacher Walter Hartwright and a ghostly female figure on a moonlit road. From this moment, Walter is drawn into a terrifying world of intrigue, crime, disguise, and insanity as he tries to save his beautiful pupil Laura from the sinister plans of Sir Percival Glyde and the Napoleon of crime, Count Fosco, in one of the most gripping plots in English fiction. And the audiobook, it begins with quite a long preface from the author discussing the kind of narrative structure of the book and how it's split up into like four perspectives, and the story's told from each of those different perspectives, as if this was, I guess, apparently something new in a narrative structure at that time that he was writing. And then there's like a preface to the edition that I'm listening to, and it kind of goes on and does the same thing. It's like a new preface from the author. So I'm interested in seeing. Apparently, the narration of the audiobook is told by different people too. So between male and females and whatever the characters happen to pop up in there. So it's beginning with Walter Hartwright, the art instructor's perspective at the beginning of the story, and how he encounters this woman. And he comes to discover that she is apparently escaped from an asylum. And although he promises to keep her secret that he has seen her and all this, but now he's doubting whether that was wise or not. But yeah, it's pretty intriguing. I've read some reviews on it. Some people say it's quite tedious, maybe as you're slogging through this novel, but hopefully as a narration and on an audiobook, I won't find it tedious. But so far, this story is intriguing me enough, so I'm enjoying what I'm listening to so far. And then I'm kind of just popping around on various graphic novels. I came across this one, I think it was just last night. It was either on someone's Instagram or YouTube channel. I can't remember. I think it was like an Instagram posting somewhere, but I don't remember whose it was. But it looked interesting. This is called Dragman by Steve Appleby. You can kind of see that. Yeah, Appleby. Okay, it's quite a chunker of a graphic novel. It's like some 336 pages, and just because it's such a bizarre plot, I'm just going to go ahead and read it from the description on Goodreads. It says, from quote unquote Britain's most loved comic artist, unquote, comes a superhero epic like no other. An ordinary man gains superpowers by donning women's clothing, saving London and maybe even himself. August Scrimp can fly, but only when he wears women's clothes. Soaring above a gorgeous, lush vista of London, he is Dragman, catching falling persons, lost souls, and the odd stranded cat. After he's rejected by the superhero establishment, where masked men chase endorsement deals rather than criminals, August quietly packs up his dress and cosmetics and retreats to normalcy. A wife and son who know nothing of his exploits or inclinations. When a technological innovation allows people to sell their souls, they do so in droves, turning empty, cruel, and hopeless, driven to throw themselves off planes. August is terrified of being outed, but feels compelled to bring back Dragman when Cherry, his young neighbor, begs him to save her parents. Can Dragman take down the forces behind the dreadful new black market? Can August embrace Dragman and step out of the shadows? The debut graphic novel from British cartoon phenomenon Stephen Appleby, Dragman is at once a work of artistic brilliance, sly wit, and poignant humanity, a meditation on identity, morality, and desire, delivered with levity and grace. It's pretty interesting. Like, you see, like from the cover, you get an idea of the art style. It is kind of sketchy, pretty bright color wise. Some panels are monochromatic in certain instances, but this tells a story. August had always felt more like a girl than a boy. He tells his mom this, but she, says, no, you're a boy, takes him to therapy, and eventually just gets tired of like fighting the cause and just kind of keeps it internal. Whenever his mom's not around, he kind of dons, women's clothing. The first time he puts on an article of women's clothing, all of a sudden he kind of flies up into the ceiling. So for some reason, that's his superhero ability that just kind of came through. And there are other superheroes, like that said, within the world that people know about. And the first time he kind of becomes a superhero is when he's secretly in a cafe, dressed as a woman, kind of hiding behind a newspaper because he sees his neighbors in the same cafe kind of nearby. And Cherry, the girl mentioned here, is like on the edge of the rooftop type thing. It's like a rooftop cafe, and she's like taking selfies and stuff, and all of a sudden falls over, and he saves her. So that's his first act as a superhero. She recognizes him, and he says, don't tell anybody. So she keeps his secret. But now with this whole weird thing about people selling off their souls. We don't really know who's using them or what they are, what the purpose of that is. But they were having financial troubles and sold their souls, and now they've become kind of dark and mean and stuff. And she's asking him, August, to help save their soul, find their souls, and put them back somehow. He doesn't even know if it's something he can do. So this is a sort of new mission, and it's kind of interesting. It's an interesting look, and him coming to terms with and being more open about his sense of gender identity and stuff, and I'm really enjoying it. It was just something, like I said, I stumbled across on somebody's Instagram, I think it was, and it pulled me in, so I was like, okay, let's check it out. But I think that's currently everything I am reading. Double check that. Yeah, pretty much. Other than that, I do have a couple books I picked up recently. So many book haul, book show, because one of them I don't actually own, I just borrowed it from work, and that one is The Plain Janes. It's a huge, gigantic, chunky graphic novel, which it just kind of attracted my attention. It's got some, like, pages are like, pardon, in various monochromatic color tones. I'm not sure why it changes between those different colors, like, dark blue and everything. The artwork seems pretty decent, and I don't actually know what it's about, so we're going to dive in and take a look. It says, Art saves. When artsy misfit Jane Beckles is forced to leave her beloved city life behind for the boring suburbs of Kentwaters, she thinks her life is over. But then she finds where she belongs, at the reject table in the cafeteria, along with fellow misfits Brain Jane, Theater Jane, and Sporty Polly Jane. United by only two things, a shared name and frustration with the adults around them, the girls form a secret club dedicated to fighting suburban apathy with guerrilla works of art scattered around their small town. But for Main Jane, the group is more than simple teenage rebellion. It's an act of survival. She's determined not to let fear rule her life like it does her parents' and neighbors' wives. Armed with her sketchbook and a mission of resistance, the Plain Janes are out to prove their passion, bravery, and a group of great friends can save anyone from the hell that is high school. It says here it includes the complete Plain Jane collection, The Plain Janes, Janes in Love, and the never-before-seen Janes Attack Back. So apparently this was in separate editions before. And I did check under the cover, so it says Art Saves. It's the spine, that's the back. So yeah, that sounds kind of interesting. Pretty cool. So like I said, I just borrowed this one from work, and I'll let you know what I think about it. And the book I did buy from work was one I just happened to stumble across when I was shelving, and this is Aoka Gahara, The Truth Behind Japan's Suicide Forest by Tara A. Devlin. It looks like a self-published book, and it is about the suicide forest, or the Sea of Trees, as it's also known. I'll read the synopsis for you here. It says, what really lies in the forest's depths? Aoka Gahara is a mystery. Born out of an explosion, its roots twist and turn, the dense trees seeming to swallow anything that enters it whole. In recent years, it has gained renown as a suicide forest, but it wasn't always this way. Aoka Gahara, The Truth Behind Japan's Suicide Forest, is fully researched from Japanese sources and looks at the history of the Sea of Trees, how it came to be, and why it became known worldwide as a popular suicide spot. It looks at why people choose the forest, the procedures the police follow when a body is discovered, and how the government is trying to turn its current image on its head. Delve into the truth behind many of the forest's terrifying legends, and discover why Aoka Gahara isn't just a suicide forest, but an important part of Japan's spiritual and cultural history. Get ready to enter the Sea of Trees and uncover the real truth hiding in the dark depths. So yeah, just a fascinating place. I've seen some YouTube documentaries on it. Not the infamous one where the YouTuber actually showed a dead body. That was just really inappropriate. But just actual documentaries about the place, and the forest is very, very eerie. It's like very silent. The ground is very upheaved. I think they said because of the volcanic activity below it, and yeah, it's very, very strange, mysterious kind of place, and I'm just kind of intrigued by it. So this is a nonfiction, very thin kind of volume that I'm just interested in checking out. So Anyway, that's everything I'm reading. Going to just go and enjoy a nice Christmas dinner with just me and my mom and Skippy. Hope you guys are being safe and enjoying your holidays, and I will see you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.